Why aren't the Indiana Fever crumbling? The Indiana Fever have won the first game of the semifinals. Let's get into it. There's one big reason, I believe, why the Indiana Fever have not crumbled. And I'll get into that in a little bit. But let's talk about the game. The Fever were just absolutely superb facing the Las Vegas Aces. They showed up and showed out. And I don't know. I think some people had the Fever not winning the game, or some people had the Fever not even getting to the semifinals. They just, weren't going to make it that far. But what the Indiana Fever did is they got on the court and they did their work. They did their job. They came out confident. They came out like a team that had no past, are expectant of the future, but they were present to where their feet were. Everybody was hyping up the MVP, Wilson, all over the place, social media, everywhere. But I would go to say the MVP of that game was Kelsey Mitchell, for sure, for sure. She is a humble individual who is there to have fun, to play the game of basketball, and to help her team win games. She is there to be that leader that she is. She is there to be that anchor that she is. She's there to play basketball. And that is what she did during this game. Okay, the first quarter was Indiana 19 and Las Vegas 18. So it was very close, very, very close. But what I recognized about the Fever was that they were steady. They played at their own pace. They were not hurried by the Aces. They were not slowed down by the Aces. They played at their own pace. And it took a little bit of a moment for Wilson to score a bucket. She tried, but it took her some time. Second quarter, Indiana 22, Aces 18. Indiana was steady at their pace, like a machine, steady at their pace. And they were spreading the floor. They were playing in a way that the defense was effective. Their offense was on fire. And they continued this throughout the whole or the majority of the game. Third quarter, Indiana 28, Vegas Aces 19. They were able to hold Wilson at a certain number. She didn't get into the 20s. She didn't get into the 30s. She was in the teens. That's not bad, Indiana. And then the fourth quarter, 20, Indiana, 18, Aces. Ended up being a score of 89, Fever, and 73, Las Vegas Aces. Now, one of the things that I noticed as people were, they were playing their games, the game, is that when things weren't going the way that the Aces wanted them to go, they got frustrated. Asia got frustrated. She, Drew Lloyd got frustrated, and they started making mistakes. They started fouling, okay, and so they were sending the Fever to the line. And so what I saw in this game is that, yeah, they have won championships. Okay, yes, they are a good team, absolutely. But so is the Indiana Fever. And they were able to stop the Aces and win the first game of the series. That is not insignificant. And if people didn't know, now they do know that the Indiana Fever are a contender. Get used to it. Get used to it. The top scorers for the Indiana Fever were Natasha Howard, 12 points. Odyssey Sims, 17 points. Kelsey Mitchell, 34 points. 34 points is what Kelsey Mitchell had. They were not able to slow Kelsey Mitchell down the way they thought that they could. They were not able to do that. Kelsey, from the time she hit the court, she was locked in. The majority of the team, for the most part, was locked in. They had a job to do. They came to do it, period. And they did that. Kelsey Mitchell shot 4 of 6 3-pointers, and she was spot on. And when she wasn't shooting for herself or shooting herself, she was actually setting up other players to do just that. Now, for the Aces, the top scorers were Jackie Young, 19, Asia Wilson, 16. Asia Wilson, the MVP, 16 points, and Dana Evans, 14 points. Those are the top scorers. And so that just lets you know that they cannot count out the Indiana Fever, no matter how they want to or whatever they want to say. They can't do it. The Indiana Fever are rock solid. And there's a reason why this is. As far as fast break points, we have the Fever had 15, Aces had 9. Points in the paint, Fever 50. 50 points in the paint. Aces 38. And there was one technical foul, and that was when Boston was going up, and I think her elbow supposedly connected with Asia Wilson's lip when she was going up. So here's that clip of that elbow into the lip or the neck or whatever. They gave her a technical foul. Largest lead, Fever 16, and the Aces 4. As far as the free throws, the Fever 16 of 17, Aces 12 of 10. I wanted to talk to you about my thoughts about why the Indiana Fever have not crumbled. So give me a moment. The Indiana Fever, I believe, have not crumbled because of one main factor. They respond and don't react. Okay? Let me just take a step back and let you know what I'm talking about in terms of responding and reacting. When a person responds to something, they have time to think it through, they make a good decision based upon the evidence, and they take an action that's calculated, that they understand, that they have weighed what they need to do. A person that's reactive is about emotion and feelings, and they let their emotion and their feelings lead them everywhere. And a lot of the times, decisions they make or what have you are done in haste. And when they're done in haste, full of emotion, full of feeling, then they usually are not in the right direction, or they're not the best ones. Anytime that you've been around someone that's fueled with emotion and and feelings, you know that them making an important decision is probably next to nil, and they need to calm down, relax and get clear-headed so they can respond to the situation or to the person, etc. I believe that what the Indiana Fever are doing, they are responding. Because see, people thought that when Caitlin Clark, got injured, and when all the replacements got injured for various team members who got injured because of injuries or what have you, 5 of them, and 6 1 is Dantes with the maybe concussion protocol. Then you have a coach that tore his, I think it's Achilles. So all these things are taking place, and so people thought that all this stuff is taking place and their star player is not there and all this stuff is going on. So basically, they should crumble. They should fall apart. But the reason why the Indiana Fever did not crumble and fall apart is because they chose to respond and not react. Usually when someone is reacting, it's a very selfish place. They're doing something because of fear, self-doubt, or insecurity. And they're reacting because of their emotion. And they're acting off the cuff, which means they're not thinking it through. But when someone is responding, they have thought it through. They're calm. They're making the right decision. And even if that right decision is not perfectly the way they want it to be, it's still done with a clear head, and they've done it with all the evidence that's in front of them. And it's not a selfish move in terms of, it's not about like me, or fear or doubt or insecurity within oneself. And so I believe that what the Indiana Fever have decided to do is in terms of all the injuries and things that have happened, they elected to respond and not react. And so, how they respond, they get closer together. They become a unit. They take care of each other. They support each other. They listen to each other. They communicate with each other. All right? They embrace each other. They welcome each other. It's a team effort. It's a team sport. It's a team response. It's a team activity, right? I'm not saying they're perfect, but I believe they're responding. This is why they have not crumbled. If they were reactionary about all the injuries, about losses, or about CC not being able to be where they are in the semis, or people who are out because of various injuries, if they were reacting to all those things like the media wants them to, then they would fall apart. They would fall apart. They would crumble if they were reactionary. But most times when people are reactionary, it's because they have fear about something. They don't want to lose something, or they're caught up in their emotions, their feelings, and their inner cells are jumbled, and they just want to make a decision like quick, and it's usually the wrong decision. So I believe the Indiana Fever have decided to respond by being more cohesive, by being together, by connecting in a way that gives them that home base, or that community within that locker room, that propels them forward, gives them momentum to go forward in the games that they play. Okay, now they have not been perfect. This has been a learning experience for the Indiana Fever, definitely, and for the coaches, definitely, and also for us fans who have never seen this happen. They've never experienced, all these players out at the same time, and they're facing the playoffs, they're facing the semifinals, and it's like, wow. But when you respond, take the right action, all right, have a community connection, coming together, that's a big difference. That's a big difference. When you're doing that, you're able to hold the injuries and all of the feelings and emotions in a certain way, so that you feel them because you're human, but you're not going to react and pull yourself off course, and you know and mess up that team cohesiveness. So this is the reason that the Indiana Fever have not crumbled. They are responding. They are not reacting. And when they get on the court, like the game that they just played with the Aces, if you notice, they were calm. They were playing basketball. They were having fun. Yes, they had schemes. They had the defense, the offense. They had all the things that they worked out, of course. But you could tell they were actually having fun. They flowed on the court. They flowed between each other. And so things happened in a smoother way. It was almost effortless in terms of just how they handled things. They didn't let the Aces razzle or dazzle them. They didn't let the Aces do anything to impede their sense of centeredness in their responsiveness to playing the game. Bottom line. That's why I liked watching this game, because the Indiana Fever were at their best given their circumstance. Odyssey Sims played her butt off. Kelsey Mitchell played her butt off. All right. Natasha Howard played her butt off. Every team member that was there, Lexi Hall, oh my goodness. She is just someone that is so important to the team. Bree Turner, so important to the team. I'm glad she's being more active on the team in terms of, blocking, in terms of getting buckets, in terms of really being there when she's needed. KK, Timpson, same thing. Petty, same thing. The team is working together. They're not in opposition of each other. They're not, fighting together in terms of each other. They are a unit working together. That's a big difference. And I believe it's because they've chosen to respond to all of the things that have been going on. They responded, not reacted. A reaction would be they'd be messing up. They'd be on social media, like saying all kinds of stuff. They would be like being upset on the court and being, on the court and starting fights. And they would be like all full of a bundle of emotion. And that's not what we see. We see them dealing with their emotion and their feelings. because I'm sure they have them. And we also see them executing on the floor and doing it in such a place where they have peace. They and I don't know if y'all noticed it, but it seems like they were like centered, like in a place of peace. And this is why I believe they won that first game, this first game of the semifinals. So you let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section about what I'm saying, about them being more responsive and not reacting. And that's the reason they haven't crumbled. And I don't expect them to crumble. If they play the way they played the game, this first game against the Aces, and they continue to play that way and even greater, then they will actually make it to the finals. Seriously. So you let me know. My name is Barbara, around the WNBA and other sports. If you have not already, here's your opportunity to subscribe to my channel. Come on, love to have you over here. And also tap the bell so that you will be notified of new content. And like always, go Fever. Go Fever. Peace and blessings.